Well, welcome. I'm Perry Williams, and today's another day for the Coach David Sharpe Show. Welcome, Coach.
Thanks, Perry. Good to be here.
We're inside today.
We're inside, yeah.
It's a little warm outside and toasty, but we'll get through. It's pretty nice setting up inside here. But let's just start off with the big win on Friday night against Mount Vernon.
It was as bad a start as any team has ever gone through. First play of the game, they go 70. Second play of our season, we fumble a simple little toss play, and they recovered, and they scored the next play. So being down 15-0, 40 seconds into the game, it was hard not to see. It was hard not to get that, oh, here we go again kind of feeling. But there's a different vibe this year with these kids, and they really, you could just tell there was no panic. It was like, well, that sucked, but let's keep fighting, let's keep scratching, and eventually good things will happen to us. And we're able to weather that storm rather quickly. And I think that getting off to that bad start, I think it might end up having a huge impact on our season, because the kids they were so dialed in after that. And there was such emotion, slowly coming back. And by halftime, it felt like we were there for 5 hours. I had my watch on. I was like, "Is it midnight?" I was like, "Oh, it's only halftime." It's such a long first half with so many different big plays, and then to continue that momentum into the second half was just huge. So I'm proud of the perseverance of the kids for sure.
Absolutely, and you are correct, because my wife and I sit on the top row on the visitor side, and I always watch the sidelines, because I think I can learn a lot by watching things on the sidelines. And I know you came over and talked to the players a little bit, both offensively and defensively, but there was a calm about it. Okay,
right,
guys, we're just started here, okay? But do you think, last year we didn't play in front of big crowds.
Mm-hmm.
We had a lot of young people that you played the second half of the season, a lot of minutes. Do you think that big crowd affected them at all, or they may have been more amped up than?
I don't think so. I mean, I'm sure it did, but when you have seniors like Jake Long, Jake Hoffman, Jake Etchison, Sam Steinhofer, Larrick Rogers, Josh Rogers, all these seniors that were really counter-monitoring, we're relying on. They're in this weight room here all the time, and there's nobody watching them lift weights, but they lift with passion. They exert themselves, and I think we could play a game in Antarctica in front of nobody, and they'd still play with that same passion. It's really a special group, led by some of these senior leaders that we have.
Well, that's good. That's good. One of the things too is, that first half, we were down at halftime. The first quarter we were down 22-20. Okay.
Yeah.
In the first quarter.
Yeah.
Then we scored 10 the second. But the impressive thing, even though how great our offense was, defense made some big plays. In that second and third quarter, they didn't score. I mean,
right.
we bent a little bit, we didn't break.
Right. We're really relying on our front seven. We feel like we've got some really good, strong, veteran front seven players like Larrick Rogers, Josh Rogers, Sam Steinhofer, Jake Hoffman. And we're bringing in some younger guys too. Austin Hastings had a nice game. Getting Mac Linus, Gavin Kenyon in there as well, Patrick O'Rourke. So we're relying on those guys. They know our defensive system quite well, and we knew it was just a matter of time to where those guys, we're going to keep playing, we're going to keep slanting and angling, and eventually the game would come to us. And we did have a nice defensive momentum in the second, third quarter, and then kind of all capped off with when Jordan Sharpe had made a beautiful interception on about the 2-yard line, and that's kind of the turning point in the game, in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely, no doubt.
Because then we were able to score off of that drive, and it kind of felt like a different game after that big pick by Jordan.
Because it really looked, like it was going to be a track meet.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, whoever, and I felt sitting up there in that second quarter, well, whoever scores the last touchdown is going to win this ball game. I mean, I really felt that way.
Yeah.
But then that defense bowed up and really played good, and with Steinhofer and Stone and Hoffman and McDaniels and
Yeah.
and Hastings. I mean, that, you know, they got looks like pretty close to 20 tackles.
Yeah, Seth Stone's another
So-
one that
Yeah.
a lot of experienced senior that played very well.
Yeah,
Also.
so those are great things that's what builds a program, because that's what we're trying to do here, is build a program. We're not trying to go season by season. We're trying to build.
Right, and it was just great, that emotion to have all of our sophomores there and have a handful of our freshmen in the stands was just, they're gonna remember that. It was a special night, and it was a very unique night with the back and forth kind of first half atmosphere, and then settling in on the second half.
Well, listen, because the social media has blown up this week after that game about this offense, okay, and how many yards we had. So let's talk a little bit about that offense. And every time when I see somebody making a comment on social media, I mean, about our running game and everything, hats off to that front line. Oh, my gosh. I mean, they did a great job blocking.
They did, yeah, they did a great job, and I got to give a lot of credit to Coach Joe Williams. Joe just put 65 candles in his last birthday cake.
Yeah,
and,
he's a good man.
But he is a great man. He comes out with a ton of energy, and he is very critical of our guys with their hand placement, with the length of their steps, the angles of their feet. He really breaks down everything. He's a real stickler, and it's perfect for what we need. And very, very, very happy for him to have all his hard work transfer over and see the kids play so well up front. But we played 9 offensive linemen on Friday night. We had to rotate in a little bit because of the heat and stuff. But if I can just give a quick shout out to
Sure.
our tight ends were Drew Page and Ransom McDermott did great jobs. Ben Decker and Aaron Williams and Nathaniel Ham at tackle, and then of course Jake Long and Jake Etchison at guards. Blake Cole also played guard, and then Gage Wren at center. So it was a good rotation. It was a good mix. We got to find out a lot about ourselves, and we're ready to roll week 2.
And I was impressed with that running game, okay? I mean, you got power, you got speed, you got quickness, and what, 4 or 5 running backs you used?
We used even more than that in critical situations. We used Logan Schaffner got a lot of the credit, but he'd be the first to tell you that it was a huge team effort. Alaric Rogers, Walton, and Brian Gomez, Parker Bell. Sam Steinhofer was in about 6-7 plays.
That's right.
We never gave him the ball, but he was a lead blocker. And then Gage Goalie in the third quarter, we had to dip into our depth a little bit, and Gage got a handful of snaps as well, sophomore.
Yeah. Now, Coach, one of the things, and you were crediting Coach Williams with the techniques and everything, but one of the key points and one of the successes that you have to have in playing this offense is you have to do almost everything right every time. I mean, it's got to be, you got to be very, very disciplined.
That's the philosophy. That's why I chose this system to bring to Noblesville. We want to really challenge, linebackers, safeties, defensive ends. We want to really make sure that if they're not fundamentally sound, we should have a big play and just put a lot of pressure on them in that sort of way. And we tell our kids all the time, we only have a handful of plays. It's pretty simple, but we feel like if we can get 5 yards, there's a good chance it could turn into a 50-yard gain. And
Yes.
And we don't throw the ball a ton, and it's not for everybody. I totally understand. But sometimes those 5 yards turn to 50-yard gains, and it happened on Friday night a handful of times, and that's how we score big points. And it's not going to be through the air very often, but when they pop, and we were able to have a few on Friday night.
Well, you probably don't know this, but I can tell you that jump pass from Menderdane
To Drew, yeah.
to Drew
Yeah.
is a play that Jim Belden ran back here in the 60s.
Is that right?
With
Yeah.
his quarterback, that little jump pass across like that. And then, of course, Big Drew, he gets excited. That's a big boy. He's got quick feet.
Drew,
He gets
well,
pretty good
what people
feet.
don't realize about Drew is he's big,
Yeah.
but he's the best. He's one of the best athletes on the team,
Yeah.
and definitely the best hands on the team.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen him drop a pass since I've been here, and
Really?
it's just 320-pound tight ends are kind of rare, but we're going to use him quite a bit as a receiver in the passing game this year. He's definitely a very special player with how his hand-eye coordination along with his quickness for his size. So.
Well, it was a great win, but we also know that there's more to this season if we want to continue to play late in November.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
For sure. So, got the victory here against Mount Vernon.
Mm-hmm.
You're coming against a Terre Haute South team that lost to Harrison last week, 27-7. Let's talk a little bit about Terre Haute South and what you expect from them and what you expect from our team.
Yeah, so basically the same offense as X's and O's wise as Mount Vernon. So our defensive backs are chomping at the bit to improve upon last week's performance because we made a couple of errors in the first half. And then offensively, we don't know how they're going to play us. We never know within our scheme of how they're going to line up, what kind of things the defense might try to do. So we just try to prepare for everything. And only having a handful of plays, it allows us to say, all right, now let's try them against this front. Now let's try it against this kind of blitz. Let's try it against this kind of stem or a shift with the defense. And our kids feel pretty confident that we try to say we put tools in their toolbox. And we never know which tool we're going to need on Friday night. But if they come off the field and they say, this guy was doing this, he was doing that, they put this guy here, that guy there, we feel confident with this group that they know how to fix that. And if they can clearly communicate that to myself and Coach Jasper and Coach Williams and the rest of our offense coaching staff, we feel like we have a good plan in place to adjust on the fly throughout the game.
And last week off the air, we talked a little bit about the kicking game.
Yeah.
And it looked like to me, as a fan, okay, because I'm only a fan, watching up there, you experimented with several different ways of kicking off and doing this and doing that, but you did hit a field goal. And but will we continue to see that, or most of what you do is how the game goes?
Right. Yeah. We need to do a little bit better job from the kickoff team unit, and we are. But when Jack Letourneau came in and knocked that field goal down, that was with coming off of a 4th and 11 with no timeouts.
Right.
Doc hit Logan on the screen pass, and Logan did a great job getting out of bounds, and then quickly just saying PAT field goal, go, 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 and no time to even think about it, and it was a beauty. He got that thing up, and I tried not to show any emotion that entire game, but I couldn't help. I did a big Tiger Woods fist bump.
Yeah.
Because I knew that was a huge play going up 8 as opposed to going up 5 at the half, and then that just capped that super wild and wacky first half, and it was just a good way to end it. So I'm very happy for Jack going in there and calmly knocking that thing down.
Yeah, that was great. And the one thing about it, I always think back of that saying, you're always the toughest guy out there until somebody hits you right square in the mouth, and that's basically what happened to the Millers, and they bowed up and did a great job. I mean, offensively and defensively, and to think that first quarter, after that first quarter, that we would blank them the second and third quarter, and the fourth quarter they scored a couple of touchdowns late. So I mean, they didn't like it.
Right.
If it had been a close game, we may have been able to hold them without scoring. But who knows?
No, it's kind of ironic because I think Thursday before the game, I told the kids, think about best case scenario, worst case scenario in terms of starts, because I knew we were going to be nervous. Everybody's nervous at 6:59 p.m. and then you settle in at about 7:02 p.m. But we'd said, just imagine worst case scenario, they get up by 14 points right out of the gate. How are you going to respond? And we'd mentioned that, and then we said, what if we get up 14-0 right out of the gate? You going to take your foot off the gas? So it doesn't matter about the starts. We know it's just every single play is its own. It's almost like a season within the season, right? Or the quarter's like a season within the season of each game. And I think this group, they don't need a whole lot of motivation. We don't need to go rah-rah, fire them up, and say, come on, let's go. It's like they're a self-motivated group, and it comes from this weight room that we have. And Coach Metter, they've become a very competitive group, and they're fun to be around. And I'm excited for the rest of the season.
Well, that sounds exciting. And I want to remind everybody, Hamilton County TV will be broadcasting the game this week from Beaver Material Field.
That's right.
Because we're coming home. I think we're honoring some classes and some Hall of Fame people.
It's senior night.
Senior night. So there's a lot of things going on at this football game.
And it is it's a 7:30 kickoff because of the travel from Terre Haute. Yeah.
And in fact, I called today with Rich Champion to make sure that, because I had some people saying, I saw there was a 7:30. And to be quite honest, Coach, I'm sort of like you. You know, I usually get to the field early.
Yeah.
And I just cue off. I don't look at a watch. I cue off what you guys are doing on the field on when we go on the air. So I'm usually here at 5:30, 6 o'clock doing things and making sure everything's right. So, but that start is 7:30, and it'll be on HCTV1.com. And I appreciate all those people. I talked to my good friend Jerry Collins, who broadcast that game, that Mount Vernon game, and I think a lot of fans that couldn't make the trip. But we had a good crowd now. We had a good crowd, but some people got to sit at home that wasn't able to come and watch that ball game. So that's great. And we're gonna try to continue to do that. We're not gonna go on the road just because of the pandemic. And then there's other things as everybody's starting to get in the broadcasting world, having their own people, broadcasting home games. So, and we understand that. So, but we want to be able to give our fans the best possible coverage of Noblesville football.
That's much appreciated. Had a lot of people at school, a lot of teachers and so forth, said great game, got to see it on HCTV1. So
that makes it easy for them. Right? That partnership like that, they don't have to learn anything new.
Yep.
Because we know that grandparents and uncles and aunts, they're sometimes not as tech savvy as the young kids are. Okay, so
your words, not mine.
But I know I can say that because I'm 70 years old and I struggle with it. If I didn't have Jim Wofford helping me on this stuff, I'd be in big trouble.
Give yourself more credit, Perry. You've put this camera together in about 30 seconds. You know what you're doing.
All right, Coach. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. And I'll see you next week. And good luck.
Thank you. Go Millers.
Thank you.